We are here today at the AI4 conference for day 3. And of course, we're seeing how AI is reshaping industries. And the CNQQ ETF offers investors access to China's broader innovation ecosystem, spanning AI, semiconductors, advanced manufacturing, and digital platforms. This has been such an awesome experience, and we're happy to take you along with the ride.
Not enough of you. It's a really transformative experience. I believe they'll be fully rolled out in Las Vegas next year, so if you're back here next year, be sure to try it. Because Waymo represents really one of the greatest success stories in artificial intelligence. You know, 20 years ago, it was an audacious research project, but it's already now grown into millions of autonomous rides. And one of the things that's most striking to me as a long-time observer of technology is just how much they've done it without the hype. Silicon Valley has been an enormous hype machine.
We figured we'd try again, so we started heading home, and I was there in the car with a computer. I changed a few things, I wrote some code, we got back to the top, we tried it again, we succeeded. It was mind-blowing progress. So this was early days, then we started building towards a product. We had our 0 to 1 moment, I would say, maybe 2015. This was our very first fully autonomous ride where we put a car on public roads with no human behind the wheel. In fact, the car didn't have steering wheel and pedals because this custom designed vehicle with Firefly. Then it took us another 5 years to get to the start of fully autonomous commercial operations. That was 2020. And then today, Waymo, it has fully autonomous cars in 15 cities across the US. We're driving about 500,000, serving about 500,000 trips per week, driving about 5 million miles. And the Waymo driver is doing that with a strongly superhuman safety record. Driven well over 200 million fully autonomous miles, and we're seeing about a 17x reduction in serious injuries compared to human drivers in the places where we operate. Autonomous vehicles, I tend to see as one of the most difficult AI problems. And setting aside the non-technical aspects, on the technical side, 3 main things that we can solve. One, you mentioned safety, Tim. The bar on performance is just incredibly high. Secondly, of course, you're operating in the physical world. The physical world is messy, it's noisy, there's many continuous variables that can pull you out of distribution or create unpleasant feedback cycles. And the third thing is that latency really matters. Everything has to happen in real time. When you're driving at freeway speeds, you're covering about 100 feet in a second. So milliseconds do matter. Lessons. One thing that we see over again, maybe I'll give 3. One is that the bitter lesson continues to hold every wave of technology. The lesson of building on architectures and methods that support scale and support data is super important. Secondly, the kind of maybe more of a general lesson is whenever you're building something hard, then think about the nines. Think about how many nines you get to the real product. When you do a prototype or you do a demo, that's the first 1% of the problem. And then every other 9, whether we're talking about performance or we're talking about reliability, gets 10 times harder. So think about where you want to end up, what your product requires, and build your processes, build your technology, build your team, especially the leadership team, so that you can go the distance. And then maybe the last thing I'll mention briefly, if you're building AI, whether it's physical AI, other eval and metrics is key. Right? Architectures, everybody likes to talk about the latest ideas in the field and architectural breakthroughs. Architectures come and go. Data is hugely important, but without eval, without the metrics, you're kind of flying behind. So invest in eval and invest in metrics, and that's the foundation of whatever AI you're going to be building. And in fact, for the physical world, and then you can expand on that. One of the most interesting things that I'm seeing happening is the convergence of the work on language models, visual language models, and world models. And you gave a really good motivating case for that, right? Driving, you have to understand how the world works. That's the physics and dynamics of it. But you also have to understand this semantic, social, interactive aspects of it, right? You take an action in the world and the world reacts. So this is what we've been building at Waymo, called the Waymo Foundation model. It's really, a multimodal, highly realistic, controllable, generative world model that pulls in the semantics from the general world knowledge that all of the digital BLMs have been acquiring over the years and been so successful.
Yeah, your story also shows that despite the bitter lesson, there's no fast takeoff in Waymo, right? It's been a 20-year journey. And so this notion that AI will solve the bitter lesson is just going to lead to some kind of fast takeoff seems to be at odds with the reality of the world. Do you have any reflections on that?
It is a 20-year journey because of the extreme low tolerance to errors. Like if a large language model hallucinates, we shrug and move on. If a self-driving car will hallucinate a red light for a green light, we would not like that. It might actually hurt a person. I would not necessarily look at the past as a predictor for the future. We live in an exponential era, and the progress has become exponential. And as a result, what might have taken 20 years in the past will soon take 3, 4, 5 years, 1 year. And we're seeing this in many areas of technology today. And it's going to embrace safety-related physical AI as much as it does virtual AI. You asked about lessons. I have one lesson I want to get rid of here, which is about regulators. Very early on in the project, we recognized that the regulators are actually our best friends. We treated them as such. We would meet with them and say, look, you guys are amazing. You and I want the same thing. You want safety, we want safety. Obviously, it's in everyone's interest to be safe. And then you want innovation as much as we want innovation. So how can we innovate? On that basis, at least when I was the helmet of the company, we had an incredibly positive relationship and reception with regulators who constructively thought about how can we safely roll out this technology. And I'm saying this because many of my friends in AI have a different attitude. They basically say, we hate Washington, we hate regulators, they're against us. And while it might feel like this, I would recommend everybody to think about regulators as your friend, because they actually are.
What's up, everyone? We are here at the AI4 conference with Steve from Zig.ai. Steve, just tell us a little bit about what you do, what Zig.ai is accomplishing to do, and what you have kind of seen here at the AI4 conference.
Yeah, so Zig.ai is a operating system for AEs and revenue teams.
Yeah.
So essentially what it does is it gives a workspace for revenue teams to work inside of. That workspace has a swarm of AI agents that are handling tasks autonomously, like lead research, follow-up, CRM updating, ICP mapping.
And it handles that whole journey.
Handles everything around the sale that isn't building a relationship and closing a deal.
Yeah.
Right?
For Zig.ai, what's foundational for marketing agentic AI? What's the key thing here?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with AI, and this is something that we try to hold really true on, is with adopting AI, let's say, a lot of people think of it as like a feature or a software. It's really not, right? It's like it's true, anchored intelligence. So when deploying into organizations or talking to organizations about, how to evaluate, how to purchase, how to do business with an AI native company, it all kind of starts at the foundational data layer and making sure that that's clean and ready to go, and then building on top of that, right? If you do that right, AI becomes one of the most beautiful technologies we've ever seen. Without that, AI becomes something that is kind of looked at as like a novelty.
Yeah,
and you
AI slop.
Yeah, you never get like the true value out of it, right?
Yeah.
So you see a lot of companies that just throw like AI on as if it's like another software feature. Problem with that is you're never giving the users the true value of it, and then they kind of get this like bad taste in their mouth around what's possible with AI. But when you fix the foundational layer, that's what we do. That's part of our kind of thing when we're having conversations is we use humans to fix the data issues within a GTM organization, and then we layer on the operating system and the agents over that once we've laid the piping.
Foundation.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the biggest bottleneck?
For us, or like in AI adoption?
Like whether it's marketing, agentic AI, or what you guys do, or in AI in general. So kind of take it how you want it.
No, I think the biggest bottleneck, I'll go adoption, right? I think the biggest bottleneck right now is accountability and ownership.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows who owns the problem, or not nobody, but people are still figuring out who owns the problem within the organization around AI, right? So you see a lot of like AI transformation managers or directors being hired. You see GTM engineers being hired. Like they're trying to kind of figure out like, okay, who owns this problem? Is it IT? Is it the department who's trying to solve the problem? So I think that's kind of the biggest bottleneck for adoption. But really the true bottleneck outside of the data, right, is also kind of the demystification of what's possible around AI, right? People see AI as like a magic wand. AI is simple pattern recognition and arithmetic, really. And so being able to like demystify it, have valuable conversations around it, and then really understand what problem's trying to be solved and then how you solve it.
Yeah, and what would you say, even whether it's Zig.ai or just in general, like what is the best way to track ROI? Like, hey, I'm going to invest in whether it's Zig or something else. How can I know that like this is a good investment? Yeah,
I think right now we're still really early on in like what good ROI looks like from an AI standpoint. The easiest one is, humans are expensive, right? Humans only have a limited amount of time. Right now, how much time is being taken off? And here's a big thing, right? There's a lot of companies that have, let's say, AI in their name or AI in their product. And what we found is that the organization isn't actually saving any sort of time. They're just repurposing the time they were allocating to something else, right? So the whole thing right now is around time.
Yeah. What do you think is like instrumental in like decision making right now? It is kind of like, as you said, foggy. But how can you kind of like look at the signal versus the noise as you're making decisions on either key business decisions within the AI space? Sure.
Like the funny thing is like I think that the way software has always been sold is like the less stakeholders you can involve early on, the better. Like if we can sell this to the CRO without the CTO having to like not know about it but be involved, the easier the deal's going to go. With AI, it's kind of quite the opposite. We've noticed that the organizations that we have deployed into, that we've seen the most massive success, is where everybody's on the same page at day one. So we're like, hey, bring in the technical evaluators, bring in the financial evaluators, right? Because that's another thing. Like CFOs are terrified of AI right now because it's unpredictable cost.
What are you most excited about over the next? Because so much is changing right now, right? Like you're going from like it's like releasing the Kraken to like everyone's trying to figure it out. And as you said, like people are still trying to figure out like the right ROI. But like, what are you most excited about? Whether it's in the next quarter or even a year from now, whether it's in the AI space or some stuff that you're seeing here within the AI4 conference.
Dude, what I'm really excited about. So when we set out and started Zig, not everybody, but people thought I was crazy because I didn't want to go after other tech companies as our customers. I wanted to build for the traditional kind of institutional companies that are based here in the US. And so you don't see that in the beginning. Like everybody was scared because they're like, oh, you're not going to see this crazy growth. But the whole point is those are the customers, when done right, that are gonna get the most value and they're gonna stay the longest. And so we did it in a way, and hats off to my team. We did it in a way where we made AI very comprehensible. And I think AI now is starting to become a more comprehensible topic when speaking, right? So what I'm really excited for is right now there's the most recent report is that 7% of enterprises are actually ready for AI solutions. The next 2 years is going to be those other 93% getting on the horse. And with companies and not just our company, but I see other companies doing it right, where they're going real deep with those organizations and solving like the real world foundation problems. And I think it's going to create these really, really good long lasting relationships that maybe we haven't seen since the early technology days.
Well, thanks, Steve, for your time today. It was a pleasure meeting you here.
Too.
All the best with the Zig.ai.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
What's up, everyone? We are at the AI4 conference, and today we are here with Jessica at the Kana booth. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about what Kana is doing in the marketing agentic space?
Yes, absolutely. So Kana builds custom agentic marketing applications for large enterprises. What does that mean? We don't believe that marketers should have to build their own agents. We don't think it's a great idea for marketers to suddenly decide they need to be coders and engineers, especially for enterprise grade, super secure applications that need to stand the test of time and cybersecurity, right? So we help seam together what marketers have always really wanted and not had access to, which is the data that they need to actually be effective in their jobs, giving them access, ready access, queryable access to data in plain language, that they can then also get recommended, stop, start, continue, next best recommended actions, and then execute through their MarTech or their ad tech stack that they've already invested in.
What would you say is the real foundation for agentic marketing?
I mean, I think the foundation is, I have 20 years of experience in B2B marketing, and I never was able to actually access the data, make enough sense of it in order to execute in a real-time fashion against the things I knew we should be doing all the time. There's always been such a lag between getting access to the data, making sense of it, and then putting it into practice in the campaigns or the activities that you're running. There was so much lag time between those things. And what agentic marketing really allows for is real-time changes, adaptability, and agility in your campaigns.
What would you say is like the biggest bottleneck that people are maybe seeing in your space today?
I think,
either adoption or...
I think it's adoption. We actually recently conducted a research study where we interviewed 50 chief AI officers, 50 chief data officers, and 50 chief marketing officers to ask them about like what are your thoughts on this agentic marketing category? And what we found is they all agreed that the governance is not there for the data, and the way the data is set up and structured is not ready, but also people's adoption, because most companies are still letting people just experiment and learn how to use this stuff on their own. There isn't a ton of regimented training just yet.
It's actually interesting, just people getting access to so much data. It's almost like they are becoming the data analysts or data engineers, and just it's like free-flowing data without any caps or just like regulation.
Absolutely. And like 7 to 10 years ago, data scientist was the hottest new title in tech, right?
Crazy.
And now, I mean, there's this new era where there has to be some fluency in understanding the data, but also understanding how to ask and how to structure the questions you really need to be able to answer. And Kana likes to help with that.
And what would you say is how do you track ROI on all these marketing agents? Because I think, some of the stuff that they've been saying in the keynotes is there's going to be one day where there's just going to be an org chart of agents. You can almost track just how much their token usage, potentially, KPIs on So how can you track, or what is maybe an ROI metric or just to see the return on the investment?
I mean, actually 2 of the use cases in that research study that we just conducted, the 2 lowest hanging fruit across all 3 of those titles, they were campaign optimization. So optimizing your spend in the channels that are actually converting for you and doing the most for you. That's pretty easily measurable, and reducing wasted spend. Every marketer I know knows that they've set a whole pile of money on fire using LinkedIn and Google Ads before. And so the agentic technology and the insight and the quick ability to pivot will help with that optimization. The other one is really personalization at scale. And this was something that with the advent of ABM, everyone was like, great, I can now personalize, but it never really came to total and complete fruition. Now with the ability, the data, and the real-time insight and recommendations that an application like Kana can do, you can make those pivots. You can generate custom content and messaging for your customers to reduce churn, which is a really easily measurable KPI as well.
What are you most excited about, whether it's being here at the AI4 conference or just kind of in your space, some of the stuff you've been seeing? What are you most excited about from either marketing, agentic space, or just any of the things you've heard over the past couple of days?
I mean, I think for me, again, as someone who's been in marketing and tech for 20 years, it's the sense that data is everywhere, and data should be informing every decision, the decision support that any marketer now has access to, and the fact that every action you take is generating more data that is feeding back into the system if you're doing this correctly, right? I like to call it an Ouroboros, which is that serpent of data, should be feeding back into every single thing that you're doing. So across the entire customer lifecycle, every decision you make is easily cited, sourced, and supported by the data.
It's wild where things have come, because I think that would take 3 to 10 layers just to form a model that would even just be able to be kind of predictive on that. And it's crazy how you can just do that with a prompt.
Yeah,
now.
and how quickly you can get something spun up,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
we can spin up a custom agentic marketing application for our customers within 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
That continues to learn and optimize based on your team's use of our application. It's incredible.
Yeah. The space is changing so much. But thank you so much for your time today.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Here today we are with Merge at the AI4 conference. I'm here with Daniel. Daniel, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at the AI4 conference, what Merge does, and a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm at Merge. Merge is the connectivity layer for AI. We do connections to products, MCPs, and LLMs. So you can think of us as both an MCP gateway and an LLM gateway. Companies like OpenAI, Ramp, and Dropbox use us to build and scale out their integrations and connections faster.
Yeah.
We're at AI4 just because we heard it was like the coolest event. This is our first time sponsoring. We saw a lot of other brands would be here. There were going to be a lot of people, and it just seems so exciting. Not even like 115 degrees in Las Vegas could get us away from here.
Yeah, thankfully we're indoors most of the time.
Yeah.
But how is the Agentic transition that we're kind of in right now impacting Merge? Like, are you guys utilizing agents also too for your connectivity?
Yeah. We have one product called Agent Handler that we're seeing like a lot of companies use in a lot of interesting ways. Obviously, as people are building out agentic workflows, the thing they're realizing is like your agents are only ever as good as what they're connected to. Like agents need to be connected to business systems, databases, and that gives them the context they need, and then it lets them do the actions that makes AI so exciting and cool right now. So right now what we're doing is we have a product called Agent Handler that lets companies through us get access to hundreds to thousands of different connectors. They never have to build or maintain that themselves. So an example is like Telnex, who's another sponsor here. They have voice AI agents. Instead of building out so when Telnex sells to their customers, they ask their customers to connect like HR systems, support tickets, knowledge bases, so that their voice agents are super contextual in resolving issues, and we power that for them. So they're able to go to market really fast. Another use case beyond just building agentic products is companies who are trying to deploy AI at scale to their entire workforce. They don't have visibility into how people are using AI, and it's really right now. We just did a report where we found a lot of people are just bypassing IT permissions. They're just kind of like making AI do whatever. So our product lets people provision AI access based off of team and role, and then so that way agents can know exactly what they can or can't do in certain tools.
What would you say is like one of the biggest bottlenecks for agentic AI, or really even connectivity in your space as well?
I think part of it is obviously like AI can enable you to do so much, but you never really want to be bogged down in like the connectivity and infrastructure of it. So like there's always going to be new LLM models, new frontier models, new things that your customers are going to want to be able to integrate and work with. So instead of being on top of that, you should work with like a partner to be able to bring that all together. So you never have to like build your own type of router, manage all these connections yourself.
What's the best way to just track ROI, right? To make sure that you're connecting, most efficiently, or how are people able to kind of like, determine that?
Oh, for sure. I think one thing that's super interesting right now is like everyone went from like token maxing to now like trying to rein in their token costs. So what we're seeing is like companies, both is like as their customers use their products and then also as their employees use AI, they're trying to figure out like, okay, why is everything that's happening getting routed to like all these frontier models, or how can I use like maybe make my own router or do all of this like maybe fallback or intelligent routing so I could try to save on token costs. So those are things that I think are ways to do it. You can try to, so one product we have is called Merge Gateway. It's an LLM gateway. And what we see is that teams can bucket everything by their spend, their projects, and that way they can efficiently measure and track what exactly their LLM spend is going towards.
What would you say is the biggest difference between companies that are really gonna be able to stay connected versus maybe not as well connected? Like when you think of like the biggest decisions that they can make today versus, maybe they're gonna get to a point where it's like, oh, we're making this decision really late.
I think part of it, a lot of it is like, are you focused on the right thing? Like what is really core to your business? So as long as you focus on that and like you don't extrapolate everything else to someone who like really knows the space or also cares about security. I think that's important.
Yeah. So Daniel, you've been here 3 days at the AI4 conference. What is like something big that you've taken away or something cool that you've been able to share with potential clients?
Yeah, everyone is like all over the place on their AI journey. It still seems super early. Like everyone is still like either learning about it, getting their feet wet, or they have like some crazy model. So wherever you're at, it's just important to like just dive in.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Daniel, for your time. I appreciate it, and excited to allow our audience to learn more about Merge. What's up, everyone? It has been such an exciting week here at the AI4 conference, and of course, with QQ Bubble being our AI Explorer, and this is CNQQ's ETF mascot. But we have learned so much this past week, probably more than I've learned in the past 6 months about AI. And it's really, the things that I took away from today specifically is just, people are still figuring out whether people are just exploring AI for the first time, or you have people who are deep in building these AI agents. But everyone is still kind of on their own journey. And the biggest thing is more of learning efficiency, learning to track ROI, and even that, you're still trying to figure that out. Jobs are not going to be completely replaced by AI. What's happening is actually the opposite, is that new jobs are being created. And the great thing is actually more generalists are being able to do things versus like having a front-end engineer versus a back-end engineer. We're seeing those roles collapse, potentially seeing like the roles of like a chief revenue officer or a chief marketing officer potentially being collapsed, because again, the AI agents and agentic AI is allowing people to get access to information within seconds, and this is not something that anyone had access to. No. So, those are the things I'm taking away. But what about you?
No, Joe? More of the same, and I think it's about creating a freedom, right? So now that person that was left to do one task now multitask on different things now that the agent is doing that one task that they used to always have to be stuck for hours having to do. And so you're seeing a lot of, like you were saying, like the Wild Wild West, of course, aspect of it. But people are learning to adapt and evolve and be more of what they want to do and more different things that they can do besides whatever they were just set to do at a base level. So a lot of that's happening.
Yeah, and what you're seeing it a lot in the tech space is that there's a lot of AI slop. There's a lot of, there's not there's not provisioning or regulation on what people are accessing, how they're using it, token maxing. It's really that those are some of the things that will help with that efficiencies and the ROI that really need to happen. But again, that is what is people are focused on right now, is looking at that ROI, driving the efficiencies, and then at some point there will be org charts for AI agents. How are you using them? What's the ROI or KPIs? How are they tracking? How are they learning? But with that said, huge shout out to CNQQ, CMC. It's been a huge privilege to just recap and attend this wonderful event. It's the 9th one. I hope we can come back.
Amazing. Love to come back.
Yeah, it was just, such a wonderful experience. So, QQ Bubble, we out. It's been a wonderful pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed the interviews that we've done. We've talked with solutions engineers all the way to founders and CMOs, VPs, and it's been such a blast. So hope you've enjoyed the journey, and TOSV reporting out.
Peace.